Hey, everybody. Hot Topic Tuesday on League Leaders tonight. Thanks for joining us. We got Zach City and Brandon Gunn. Brandon, thanks for coming on with us as a special guest again tonight. We certainly appreciate it. We're going to dive right into our conversation tonight. We're talking nothing but football. Obviously, this is draft week, so we're going to talk about the NFL draft. Brandon, we'll start with you. What do you think the Detroit Lions are going to do? What do you see them doing in the first round here?
Well, Al, the great part about being a part of a perpetual rebuild is that you have a lot of holes in the roster, right? So I'm hoping that some of those quarterbacks stick on the board and that they're able to trade back. But if they cannot find a trade partner, I'm hoping that one, they draft Penny Sewell from Oregon, because I think he can be a staple on that offensive line for years to come. And depending on the quarterback, I wouldn't be opposed to grabbing their quarterback of the future, maybe the new wave quarterback. You've got Jared Goff back there, who's not known for his mobility. And it seems like the new wave quarterbacks, or at least the new style of winning, is get a guy back there that if the play breaks down, he can scramble and hit a receiver, find a receiver that's open, or even get some yards to salvage a play. So I would say that line, if not line, or if not a generational line talent, then go to the quarterback route.
Yeah, I like that pick that you have right there with the offensive line. You know, he's a stud over there from Oregon and has had a great career. I think ultimately the Detroit Lions are going to take a wide receiver. I think they're going to go with either Jamar Chase out of LSU or Devontae Smith out of Alabama and the Heisman Trophy winner, obviously, as we all know. I think they're going to go one of that route there. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. I obviously don't believe that Jared Goff is going to be their quarterback of the future or anything like that, but I don't see them taking a quarterback in the first round this year. I see them going wide receiver with the seventh pick, and I think they're going to take one of those two gentlemen. I think one of them, if not both, will still be available, and that's ultimately what I see the Detroit Lions doing. But who knows? Only time will tell, but we're certainly looking forward to the draft starting up this week. Zach, we'll flip it over to you, being from the Pittsburgh native. What do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do? What's their biggest need in the first round?
I think their biggest need is offensive line. They lost Villanueva, Matt Filer as well. They had the retirement of Marquise Pouncey as well at center. So the line is weak right now, not a lot of depth. So I'd like to see them go offensive line in the first round, but it's possible they could go running back with Najee Harris out of Alabama. That could be their first pick in the first round at number 24. Have also seen some mock drafts with them selecting Tevin Jenkins, offensive lineman from Oklahoma State. I think that would be a more fitting selection for the Steelers, and possibly getting a running back later in the draft, second or third round. Talking earlier, even Brandon mentioned, running backs have a shelf life of only a couple years anymore. So taking a running back early may not be the best decision for the Steelers to win next year. And if Ben Roethlisberger is going to play his final year with the Pittsburgh Steelers next year, I think it's a win now. And I think there's a lot more opportunity in picking a lineman in the first round to get them to fill that hole for them to win next year. So I'd like to see him go offensive lineman, but it's a possible they'll go Harris at number 24. So guys, sticking with football, want to jump into the first round. It's one of the most exciting parts of the NFL draft is that first round, and the first three picks always exciting. Who do you got in first three picks, and how many quarterbacks do you think are going to get selected in the first round of this draft? Some are saying 4, 5, possibly 6 quarterbacks in the first round. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's
Al,
crazy.
start with you.
Yeah, that's a great question, Zach. First of all, to your point on Najee Harris going to the Steelers, he reminds me a lot of Derrick Henry. Now that we bring that up, and I think if the Steelers did go that route, I think that would be a great selection. Obviously, as you mentioned, though, the shelf life and the career of a running back typically doesn't last that long. So it'll be interesting to see what the Steelers decide to do this year in the first round. But in regards to your question there, Zach, top 3 picks, I think it's going to be all quarterbacks. And that goes into the second part of your question too. What quarterbacks do you have going in the first round? How many? I think there's going to be 5. I think it's going to be the 5 big ones. Trevor Lawrence is going number 1 to the Jags. We all know that. Justin Fields, I believe, is going to go second to the Jets. Third one gets a little bit tricky. Some people think it's going to be Zach Wilson. We're seeing Mac Jones, his name being tossed around out there. I think it's going to end up being Mac Jones going 3rd overall. If the 49ers do happen to go with Zach Wilson, then I think Mac Jones drops to the New England Patriots. And I think that he would have a lot of success over there. There's been some comparison to him and, in his throwing ability to Tom Brady. I think that's pretty far-fetched. That's some high expectations right there for the young gentleman out of Alabama. But I think that he's shown a lot of poise this past year. He's had a great season. Mac Jones is the one that really, really intrigues me. I'm interested to see where he falls to. I don't know if he's going to go 3rd or if he's going to drop a little bit. He's definitely going to be a first-round pick. And then Trey Lance is the other one out of North Dakota State that I think is going to be a first-round pick. So those are my top 3 picks: Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and I'm going to say Mac Jones. And then Zach Wilson and Trey Lance will also be drafted in the first round. Brandon, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I've got the same names, just a little bit different order. I think that, everybody knows that the quarterbacks are going to be coveted this year. It's a deep quarterback class, which is pretty interesting with the circumstances of the COVID seasons and everything, and the analysis that actually goes into breaking down and scouting those quarterbacks. But the top 3, I think Trevor Lawrence, he's been the number 1 pick this year for what? Like, when did he commit to Clemson? So he's finally just fulfilling a prophecy at this point. And Zach Wilson is actually who I have number 2 going to the Jets. And then number 3, I think, the Mac Jones is either a huge smoke screen or legitimately who they want in San Francisco for their quarterback. And the rumor is that Mac Jones is going to be able to fulfill what they want in San Francisco and run the offense the way that they want. I personally think that there are some higher upside quarterbacks. We talk about the quarterbacks going in the first round. I think the Trey Lance has a higher ceiling. And then Justin Fields, I know he came out with the epilepsy and things like that he's been dealing with. So it'll be interesting to see what that does to his draft stock. Apparently he's been managing it, and it's been something that has not bothered him in his entire career at Ohio State. So whether or not that's a focus of NFL franchises, sometimes I feel like, they trip over anthills looking for issues to not draft these prospects sometimes. So I think that Fields could face a pretty big slide depending on what the doctors say about that. But I think that in terms of quarterbacks in the first round, you've got Trevor Lawrence 1, Zach Wilson 2, Trey Lance, I believe, is deserving of the 3rd selection out of the quarterbacks, but I don't think he'll go there. I do believe it'll be Mac Jones. I believe Justin Fields gets drafted in the first round. And actually, Davis Mills, a quarterback out of Stanford, has been climbing up some draft rankings. And I believe that there could be a team towards the end of the first round that maybe grabs him so that he doesn't make it to day 2 for some of those other quarterback potentially needy teams at the top of the second round the next day. To get a draft day steal and a potential quarterback for the future for their franchises. So it's a strong quarterback draft, everything that I've seen. So I'm really excited to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting this week to see what happens, especially on day 1, first round. A couple points too. I know a lot of people seem to be concerned about the past quarterback history to come out of Ohio State. I don't think that's going to have any effect on Justin Fields. I really think that he's a different breed compared to the other gentlemen that he's following up on. So I don't think that's anything to be concerned about for teams looking at that. Zach Wilson, this is going to be an interesting prediction for me. Zach Wilson out of BYU reminds me a lot of Baker Mayfield Johnny Manziel type guys. He seems very, very flashy. So I'm intrigued to see what he does. But I actually believe that he could potentially be a first round bust, in my opinion. Mac Jones is the one that I'm going to circle because I am riding that hype. And I do think that he's going to be an elite quarterback. So only time will tell, but I can't wait for the draft. I know you guys are excited. Everybody else is excited. So we're looking forward to it. Big week with the NFL draft. So we want to thank you for tuning in tonight and joining us as we chatted NFL draft. We hope you tune in this Sunday as we're going to be joined by Peter Gabriel, who is a leadership coach out of the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. So tons of great stuff coming this Sunday as well. So thank you again.